Kristin Ryan joined Barrientos Ryan in 2017. Before that, she was the director of the Northwest Division of Jonathan Rose Companies, leading acquisition, development, and consulting services on the West Coast. Kristin has provided development advisory services to several other nonprofit and governmental agencies seeking to use multi-layered financial approaches to implement their project. She also spearheaded the work behind the Rainier Beach Food Innovation Center for the City of Seattle. Hello, Kristin. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Hey, Jeff. Great to be here. Great to join.
Hello, Kristin.
Hey, Satya. Good to see you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming and talking to us and to the student group, actually. So just help us understand your background and how you actually kind of connected with the University of Washington Real Estate Program and what motivated you and how you ended up being here.
Absolutely. Well, my real estate background is pretty serendipitous, maybe would be the word. I don't know. I started my career in nonprofits. So I spent the first part of my career in nonprofits in the health and human service, children's, equal rights kind of world, advocacy world. And then I went to business school at Columbia Business School. And I started even my first year there in healthcare, because I thought that that was the most closely aligned to what I had done before. And in my midsummer, I still didn't have a job for my summer between business school years. And I fell into a role with up in Boston with some guys that did corporate real estate who thought they needed some extra help for the summer. And I fell in love with it, sort of ironically, because it was about like reading Massachusetts tax code and these sort of tax structured real estate deals. But I really liked the multifaceted nature of real estate, bringing in marketing, bringing in design, aesthetics, community, finance, lending, banking. I mean, it sort of had this cross-sector piece, which I'd been really struggling with in business school to say like, well, what should my focus be? And so I transitioned in my second year of business school, only focused on real estate, graduated with a major in real estate, and launched myself into a career that has since then been in the asset management field, in property management, in development, and across the board. So it's been pretty exciting. I moved to Seattle. I feel like I'm a relative newcomer, though, as my daughter turns 8, my son is about to turn 10. I realize I've been here longer than I remember. And but when I first moved out here, I moved out here with a company called Jonathan Rose Companies to open it. They're an East Coast, New York-based firm that does mission-based affordable housing. And we had a number of assets here, actually office properties. And I moved out to open our offices on the West Coast. And I met Suzanne probably in my first several months that I was here. And she's such a fantastic networker that I very quickly knew that I'd found a right person to kind of develop a network in a new city that I didn't know at all. We came sight unseen. And so she really, the relationship with her really drew me into work at the university overall. Had contemplated, being able to work as adjunct faculty. I sort of decided I wasn't going to do that till my kids got a little bit older and I wasn't juggling them as young ones as well, but then ended up becoming a Runstad Fellow. And so with a fabulous group, got to really engage in some deeper relationships with faculty and students. The unfortunate part, we were doing a project and scheduled to go to Columbia and travel through 3 cities in Columbia and really look at urban development and sustainability. And unfortunately, I broke my wrist shortly before our trip, and it was on my dominant hand and was a little bit of a complicated break. And so decided that trekking through Columbia might not have been what wasn't going to work for me. So I got the relationship part of it, but didn't get to do the direct experience part of it, unfortunately. But it really, that furthered the relationship with both of those folks. And I've stayed in touch with the students that came out of the program there and have frequently continued that conversation with Suzanne. Reaches out to ask if I can answer questions of students in the program that want to know what it's like to be a developer. And so have had a host of informational interviews over the years and several folks who I continue to sort of stay in touch with and mentor informally, or who touch base when they have career changes or job change opportunities. So it's been a wonderful relationship. And then I joined the advisory board just over a year ago. And one of the things, obviously, with all the stuff that has happened over the last year, Diane Sugamura and she had been the prior head of Seattle's planning department, felt very strongly that our industry has a clear role and a focus around equity and diversity and inclusion issues. And so we started an EDI task force on the board and have been working through that over the last several months with the executive committee and the board as a whole.
Oh, that's a very, very interesting background and very inspiring too. So moving on to what is your current position in the real estate, like a little bit of your company history and background and all that? Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I stayed with Jonathan Rose, opened the company there, and then was with them until 2017. And Jonathan Rose relocated their offices down to Los Angeles, and I didn't want to make a move again. I felt very situated in Seattle and was fortunate enough to have really created a relationship bond with Maria Barrientos, who'd been a longstanding real estate developer here in the city. And so we developed Barrientos Ryan. We are a woman-owned, all-woman staffed development company. And we do mixed use and multifamily residential through really core neighborhoods in Seattle. The majority of our work is all in sort of core Seattle neighborhoods. We have a strong focus on building community. And that's really, my passion in this is in building community. I often sort of use the phrase that, my skill set, my toolbox right now happens to be building buildings, but in building buildings, I'm doing that to build community. And so we do both market rate residential, and then I've been very focused based on some of the work that I had done in New York, where our work really transitioned across low income housing to market rate housing. How do we find more opportunities to create mixed income housing here in Seattle? Because it's not a model that we see a lot of. We see independent lower income housing and independent market rate housing with some affordability through the multifamily tax exemption, but not a lot of examples that layer those together.
So tell us more about your mission within real estate and how does your work fit within that goal?
So that in building communities, really our work on two levels. The residential side is one of it. The other great passion of mine is working with nonprofit organizations to realize their real estate dreams. Part of what I love about that, the same reason I fell into real estate, because it was so multifaceted, is that in working with nonprofit organizations to build, whether it be an educational facility, a health clinic, a new sort of faith-based setting, a community center, is that those are all really distinct and individual kind of roles for the purpose of those organizations. Food Innovation Center, right? They have such a multifaceted nature that it keeps the work really different and interesting. That's always changing. And so the work that we do in that level has a lot of variety to it, means I can keep learning new things, not just about what the mission of that organization is and the great work that they do, but also about, a different kind of construction typology that might be more relevant when building a community center than what is for the residential work we do. So it keeps it interesting for me. And that I've made Seattle my home. I feel deeply embedded in it as a place that I want to raise my kids and see as a great community. I was drawn to it because of the diversity of sectors of industry and that it had a lot of innovative and entrepreneurial folks in it. And so my hope is that we continue to see that grow. And I want to do what I can do to, keep making it a really diverse and sustainable community in that way.
So Kristin, are there any particular projects that you'd like to share with us that you worked on?
Well, there are two things I think about that really maybe are great examples of the long time, the investment that this takes to really do community development well and intentionally. One is work that I've been doing with Rainier Beach Action Coalition for 5 or 6 years And Rainier Beach Action Coalition has developed a concept for a food innovation center as a way to really inspire and increase the industry around food production, particularly culturally specific food production in Southeast. And they have a site at the Rainier Beach Light Rail Station that after all these many years, they have just recently in the past several months been able to secure with ownership, and so that they can develop their dream. The other is longtime work that I've been doing with, or several year work that I've been doing with HomeSite, another great longstanding organization in Southeast Seattle, that was to secure the master development and work at Othello Square and the Opportunity Center for Othello Square. So this is a 3.2 acre parcel at the Othello Light Rail Station that has been reconceived to include charter school, health clinic, mixed income housing, and affordable home ownership, as well as the Opportunity Center, which will house HomeSite's offices, as well as other organizations that are really supporting economic and educational opportunity for the diverse population of Southeast Seattle. And so that is work that has, it has really, I have so many great relationships with so many tremendous community members in that, and the opportunity to kind of have helped be a part of evolving these visions that really are about supporting the Southeast Seattle communities and different parts of the Southeast Seattle community to fulfill these dreams that the community as a whole has, not just sort of an individual member of our community, but really these sort of community-driven development ideas has been really special for me.
Well, as Satya said, it was great to have you and Shannon Underwood come on and speak from the advisory board to the students. It's one of the benefits the students get is to be able to have someone like you to talk about experience. So is there a piece of advice or a quote that has driven your work?
Well, there are two pieces I think about a lot. I got a piece of advice very early on. It was at a ULI Urban Land Institute sort of seminar there with, the old guard came in to advise new people in the industry and give their words of wisdom. But so I'm really just traveling this along. But somebody said, never be too good at something that you don't like to do. So don't, find your path in the industry, but then not be passionate about it, because unfortunately your career path will continue to support you doing that. You'll get promotions because you're good at doing that. You'll get acknowledgement for doing that. And if you hate it, that's going to suck. And so sort of the corollary of it is that, make sure that you do love what you do. This is, we spend a lot of our time of our life in our work worlds and in our work life. And so if you can't be passionate about it and love it, it can get to be a slog. And at least in the development world, right? Development is not easy. It takes a lot of patience, and it's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving people. And so, that's the joy I take out of it, is in getting to interact with so many folks. But if, that's different for everybody. So you've got to find what works really well for you, what highlights the things that you're good at, what maybe stretches you if you like to be stretched, what keeps you in your comfort zone if you like to be in your comfort zone, but making sure that it is something that you care about, because that is what will make you successful.
Good advice. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for all your efforts and contributions to the advisory board. And thanks for coming on with us today.
I'm always happy to be a resource, particularly to women in the industry. Obviously, I feel very strongly about increasing the number of women that can be in the industry in a number of ways and find success in it. It's an industry that I think brings a lot to so many facets of our world and our lives. So,
thank you. That was very inspiring, Kristin. Thank you.
Thanks, Satya. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me.